You had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. Yes, claps all around, all around. We are not canceled. We are not quarantined. Well, I guess sort of, kind of. But anyway, without further ado, it's MinneZona Sports Live. I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matty C, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matt Cal, etc., etc., etc. So, with that, we welcome my other host live from Woods and Shores Studios in Aiken, Minnesota, Paul Vold, the Shield. What's going on, Shield?
Well, it is another day. It is another day that we are not quarantined here at the Woods and Shore Studios in Aiken, Minnesota, but we are trying to do it day by day at this point. Really only hour by hour, because something always comes up within, I don't know, each hour of the day. Something always changes, but we're here. We're doing our thing. Excited for another great show.
Yeah, and, you know, we people are already asking. They're like, you know, are you going to talk about the coronavirus? Okay, the thing is that we don't have a lot to talk about with that, because it's just people quarantine and washing their hands, disinfectant, everything like that. So, but without further ado, I think we need to get to a certain segment. And also, this is the Kerf Doctor as well, behind the scenes. He's got audio for us. He's got the applause. He's got booze. This is going to be great. Okay?
Absolutely.
It's going to be awesome. So anyway, we got to get rolling with something called Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
Well, Voldy, out of the gate, we got to talk about the Minnesota Vikings, because they're pretty much the only team, in Minnesota, that is in the news.
Yes.
And we have to get to something that I didn't necessarily want to get to, and I was really hoping that this wouldn't happen, but it did. As you guys can see, the lower third says Stefan gone. Okay. Monday night, I was looking on my phone on the socials medias, and even before then, Stefan Diggs had his famous, or we could probably say infamous at this point, tweet saying that something's got to change. You know, everything like that, and. You know, this is hard for me, because Stefan Diggs was probably one of my favorite Vikings. And obviously I made a statement saying that the Vikings were not going to trade Stefan Diggs. And I didn't want, I felt very confident in that. A lot of people didn't feel the same way. They thought Diggs was going to be gone at some point. But I did also say, too, that they would have to make a deal that was going to blow them away. And granted, the deal did blow the Vikings away. The thing is that the Vikings kind of came out in a very good space, and they got a first-round pick from the Bills. I believe it's 22nd in the draft, okay? And then 5th round, 6th round, and then a 2021 fourth-round pick. Now, all the zoners, they had they poked fun at me and stuff like that, and I love it. And that's the thing, is that you gotta have fun with it. You can't get mad about it, because it's like, I made the statement, I was wrong, I'll take it. Okay, I will take ownership. I said that the Vikings will not trade Diggs. Well, guess what? They traded Diggs, and I was wrong. I caught a lot of flack for it, but hey, you know what? I'm only human, folks.
Exactly.
You know? And that's the thing, is that I'll make statements that I think will be true, and guess what? It wasn't true. They did trade Diggs, and yeah, booze. Wow. I know it's tough, and my reaction was kind of sad. But the thing is Voldy, I understand where the Vikings are coming from on this. And they did get a good deal. They get a very good deal out of this. And we got some of the zoners chiming in here. Definitely needed the picks for O-line. Yes, Kerf Doctor would like that a lot for O-line. Blake Hawkert can't keep a guy around who doesn't want to be there. Toxic. We are better off now. And Blake, I agree with you. And I really do, because I didn't think at the time, I felt like he was trolling people, but actually he was legit about this whole thing. Stephon Diggs was legitimate about all these cryptic tweets and then getting rid of anything related Vikings. But one thing I want to bring up to you, Voldy, and then I'll let you chime in on what you think here. I was reading a series of tweets, and I believe a guy by the name of Paul Allen, you might know him. He's from K-Fan. Yep. I think people know who he is. Someone tweeted that he said, I didn't hear the audio of it, but he mentioned after the Bears game, Stephon was very upset, and he kind of just, after the game, he didn't really say much. He just kind of left. And I believe the quote was Zimmer saying, "F him, bleep, he quit on you guys. We got to move forward." So that's where I think the tension started, and the Vikings probably talked to him in between, and finally, Diggs after that, he had a great season, but again, he can't really do much because he doesn't want to be here. And was there friction between him and Cousins? Possibly. And I wouldn't doubt it. But, again, I was wrong about it. And you know what? I got to do something that I never thought I'd do here, Voldy. I am officially nominating myself for absurd statement of 2020. It's a tough thing to... Oh, claps. Nice, Chris Doctor. Yeah.
There it is.
Appreciate that. Yeah. But, yeah, I will nominate myself for Absurd Statement 2020. I will put my name in the ring for that statement because, well, I was wrong. So that's kind of how I look at it. So, Voldy, enough of me talking. What are your thoughts on the trade for the Vikings and where they go from here?
I look at this trade from two different sides. One, as an initial Vikings fan, I'm upset. I see the fact that you take away one of the cornerstones of the offense for the last couple of years that has been one of the main pieces to make the engine go, as they say. But the other side, as of late, this is the move that the Vikings needed to make. They need to sell high when the iron was at its hottest. Yes, there was a little bit of tension towards the end of the year, but if you look at the numbers and what he has done over the last couple seasons, right, this was the best possible move the Vikings could have made in getting rid of Stephon Diggs. Yes, there is the character issues and him kind of quitting towards the end of the season. Yes, you get all the draft choices that you need because it's going to go into the facts of getting after offensive line protection, maybe a patented defensive back, high draft pick as well that could help out with the departure of a few guys. I just see this as a win-win situation. A win for the Vikings, a win for Buffalo as well. Buffalo didn't have a down-the-field threat this past season. I think their only legit downfield threat was Cole Beasley.
John Brown.
That was sad to say the least. And Josh Allen, I mean, he's not the most accurate guy if we've seen all the videos posted on socials media for the last couple of days. Just him just airmailing balls about 15 yards down the way. But man, can he run though? Man, he's a sneaky quick guy for a guy from Northern California who went to Wyoming. But I think this is a win overall for everybody. I think both sides are going to walk away happy. Stephon is out of Minnesota, probably what he wanted. Vikings get draft choices, and, everybody moves on.
Right. And a lot of the zoners have chimed in, and one of them being Jimbo Vold, your father, who did call me out on my statement as well, which I appreciate because, you got to have fun with it. John Brown was good for the Bills EZA. John Brown torched our SMSU football team back when we were enrolled at SMSU. So he is a very good player.
That he is.
I mean, they have a really good wide receiver core now with Diggs, Brown, and Beasley. So I'm excited to see what they do from the Bills side. But, with Diggs being gone from the Vikings, it's probably the best course of action. And I agree. Because I felt like this was Stephon trying to troll all the people that think he was going to be traded and everything along those lines. But it turned out, to be true that Stephon was unhappy. And, I mean, I know he was a little unhappy, but, with the role in the offense, because they were talking about how they wanted to focus in on using Dalvin Cook, having him be kind of the first option, the running game. And I think Stephon wasn't a fan of that because he felt like he was playing second or third fiddle to Cook and Thielen. But, that's just how it is. And, NFL's a business, and Zim and Spielman found an opportunity and said, all right, well, we're done here. So I believe I just saw Blake Hawkert saying that Diggs will not be a top 15 wide receiver this year. Interesting. And then we got, Glance, Mr. Absurd Statement himself. I cannot wait to watch Thielen just explode while Diggs just gets under 700 yards next season. Wow. The hate is real for Stephon Diggs. I feel like a lot of Vikings fans are glad he's gone, but I'm not one of them because we can't forget the fact that this guy made one of the most absurd plays in NFL history with the Minneapolis Miracle. And we can't forget what he meant to this organization and everything like that. And yeah, it didn't end the way that we wanted it to, but Stephon Diggs will go down in Vikings history as one of their, best receivers. I mean, you got Moss, you got Carter, even Harvin, for that short period of time too. So, and then Thielen, it's Stephon Diggs will forever be remembered with, Minneapolis Miracle. And, he's a fantastic route runner as well.
Absolutely.
And then we got Jimbo Vold. Yeah, just before we went on, actually, the Vikings signed Michael Pierce, he's formerly of the Baltimore Ravens, 3-year, $27 million deal. So the Vikings are making moves, and it's good. But, I did make a post about Diggs, thanking him for his 5 years here. And, we're moving on. We are moving on. So, anyway, the Vikings made some interesting transactions here. So, first, let's look at all these comments. Hold up now. No hate, just facts. We have all seen Cousins throw the ball deep. It's beautiful. Josh Allen, deep ball looks like he's closes his eyes and just lets it rip. Yeah, that's true. That play will never be forgotten, but we needed to move on. Agreed. Absolutely agreed. And that's what we're going to do. So, now, with that being said, a certain quarterback by the name of Kirk Cousins, signed a 2-year extension with the Vikings worth $66 million. Guaranteed, too, Voldy.
Money.
Yeah, a lot of money, and now he loses another target. But you got Adam Thielen, you got Rudy, you got Irv Smith Jr. and they got the guys. They have what?
Olabisi Johnson, can't forget about
Johnson.
him.
Yeah. So now my question to you, Voldy, is now that Kirk's got the extension, which is a lot of money, where do you see the Vikings making possibly getting a wide receiver in the draft and or free agency here?
I think if there's going to be any way they make a move, it's going to have to be in free agency. I think with the wide receiver class, unless they make a move up in the draft, I think it's going to be tough for them to find anything suitable in the draft outside the realm of CeeDee Lamb, who's going to be a top 5 pick in this year's draft out of Oklahoma. It's going to have to be somebody out of free agency, in my mind at least. I mean, I don't know the full extent of what's available in the free agent market. I mean, the Vikings can certainly make a couple of moves as well. I mean, get everybody healthy. It's certainly going to help with the likes of, Dalvin Cook getting healthy with that shoulder and then being more of that threat in the passing game again.
Yeah. And, here we go. We got another absurd statement. Just coming up here. Bring in Ponder for the backup. Yeah, Glantz. We already took care of that. All right? You can't. Well, you could win absurd statement 2020 again, but we're gonna have to chalk you up in that. We got. The Kirk deal was much needed. This is from Mikey Ryan, our official Vikings insider. The Kirk deal was needed. He proved himself this year that he was worth an extension this year, and the fact that they wouldn't find a suitable replacement for him during free agency / the draft. I agree. I agree. I think that's kind of the best way to do it, and they freed up cap space while re-signing Kirk. And Kirk had a great season, and he got a playoff win, and now it's time to cash in here. It's time to get going with Kirk, and Kirk's gonna work hard, and this isn't something he can do alone though, because the big need is offensive line. And speaking of offensive line, I just want to let you know too that the Vikings also released Josh Klein. Kind of a bit of a surprise because he was kind of one of the guards that did well for us too, and I'm not sure I understand why they did it. I mean, they freed up some cap space, but then they have to eat up at least $4 million in dead cap too. So now we're in the area of, okay, well, are we? And then they're saying they're going to try to re-sign him. And I'm like, I don't quite understand that, but we'll go from there. And then also a couple other things. Roads closed. JK, Roads Open is now free agent. And Linval Joseph was a free agent until today. He was a 2-year deal with the Los Angeles Chargers, and we're good for Linval. And
yeah, definitely. I think he's going to fit well out there. That defense has been up and coming the last couple of years. They've got a couple of guys on their side. And, I think that'll be the shot in the arm that the Chargers need.
Yeah, you got Bosa, Ingram still there. I mean, they got some guys. I think that's a good fit for Linval.
Definitely.
But Xavier Rhodes, a lot of Vikings fans know how this goes. But I think it was his time.
Yeah,
that's the
unfortunately.
Thing, it was definitely time, and we wish him the best of luck in the future. But it was. I mean, we kind of saw it coming, but that's just how it is.
It's unfortunate, too, because the way things go with the Vikings is if you're going to be one of the top guys at one of the positions and there's a lot of hype going into each season, you kind of don't last very long in Minnesota. Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, they do their job. They're holding steady. They've been performing at the levels that they should. They don't draw a lot of hype, like Xavier Rhodes, Stephon Diggs. They just do their job. They play well, and so be it. Everson Griffin, unfortunately, his time in purple is most likely at an end. You know, the first couple of years were kind of wish-washy for him. He was doing really well. Daniil Hunter now. I mean, he's probably going to be the guy that gets a lot of that hype, and let's hopeful it works well for him and is able to stick around for a while.
And they did say, Spielman and Zim said they want to get younger, and that's what they're doing. I mean, they're getting picks. I don't know if they're going to use that to trade, but we'll see what happens. But the cornerback position is starting to kind of trend a little bit downward now too, because Trey Wayne signs with the Bengals, 3 years, $44 million total. I don't know if it's worth $44 million with Trey. I like Trey. No. I mean, I really do, but now that's interesting. So, but I want to get to one that's a little bit better for both of us here, Voldy. C.J. Ham, originally from Augustana. The Mustangs have definitely seen C.J. Ham play and extended 4 years.
Yes, sir.
$12.25 million. Voldy, what are your thoughts on C.J. Ham coming back to the Vikings? The Hammer.
Absolutely. I think this is a fantastic move the Vikings made. You got to have something going in there. You might as well keep another native kid. Duluth-Denfeld High School alum, home of the Hunters, Duluth-Denfeld High School. I think this is a great move. Obviously, he's seen a lot of production as of late. Pro Bowler this year. I mean, he's very involved in the community, and also, I mean, you can't go wrong. I mean, you may get a little bit more action out of the backfield. We'll have to see how it goes. They've got a deep backfield now. Now hold on, just with the fact that you've got Dalvin Cook and you got Alexander Madison, but look out for Mike Boone in that third slot.
Oh yeah.
If they have the third running back, and of course they've got C.J. Ham too, and he does wonders for the offense.
Yeah, clearing up those running lanes. I mean, last year he pancaked so many linebackers, and it's crazy, and maybe even defensive backs. But C.J. Ham, I mean, has worked his tail off, and it's paying off here, and he definitely deserves it. And that's what the Vikings want to do. They want to be able to use the zone run scheme, and I think that makes sense for him. Jimbo, I got to get to Jimbo here. The money some of these guys are getting is crazy. Too many guys getting $10 million a year. I agree. It is crazy. And, guys like for Trey Waynes, I mean, that one I feel like is a little much. But you know what? The Bengals
very far-fetched.
Yeah, I mean, the Bengals need help. So, well, overpay for a guy, But, I mean, we'll see. But anyway, we're going to wrap this up, but I want to get to some other things. Anthony Harris, franchise tagged by the Vikings. Possible trade incoming. I've heard some rumors with Anthony Harris. I don't want him to go, but we've got a lot of money with safeties with Dirty Harry and Anthony Harris. So we're going to kind of see how that transpires. But Anthony Harris did a great job. Great job. What's the news on Dan Bailey? I haven't heard much. I think he possibly could come back. I can't see it being I could see them taking another kicker, but Dan has been much better since when we first got him. He was in, and then, this year he wasn't too bad. So
definitely not.
I haven't heard much.
I think it was great.
And then, Teddy, $21 million a year. Yikes, yeah. Well, we'll see if Teddy B can do it. I love Teddy B. And then punter Brenton Colquitt, 3 years, $5 million, and guarantees can earn up to $9 million. So a punter getting paid. So
have to.
Yeah. And then one last one, Eric Wilson, second round tender for $3 million. Basically, according to Star Tribune here, the move nearly ensures he'll remain with the Vikings in 2020, but he can still negotiate with other teams before signing. The Vikings have the right to match any offer he receives from another team. So that's basically what it means. So, but that's where the Vikings are at right now. They had a signing with Michael Pierce, and we'll see how it turns out. So, but we'll get to our zoners here before we move on to our next segment, because we got to get to Voldy's virtues. I think Teddy deserves the money. Debatable. Why Sean Mannion as a backup quarterback? Well,
why not?
Why not? Yeah. Well, as the Kerf doctor likes to say, why not? But appreciate it, Trev. But I mean, the thing is that he was here last year. They're bringing him back. I mean, he's familiar with the offense. Hopefully, well, now they are with Kubiak, but we'll see how it goes. But anyway, Voldy, it's time to get some wisdom from you because there was another huge story that happened. It's time for some Voldy's virtues.
He has emerged from the Temple of Wisdom. Gather round for Voldy's virtues.
Well, I think that says it right there, folks. Voldy, take it away.
All right. So it's finally happened. Yes, as it says, bye-bye Brady. It has officially come out as of, well, yesterday, that ruined St. Patrick's Day for myself, that Tom Brady informed not only the team, socials medias, and the entire foreseeable world that he will not be returning to the New England Patriots next season. 20 years with the team that drafted him, pick number 199 out of Michigan. Tom Brady is no longer a member of the New England Patriots and thus making his way to the Sunshine State as reports continue to come out. Nothing officially has come out yet. No contracts have been signed. As far as we know, basically just word of mouth saying that Tom Brady will become a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the 2020 NFL season. Now, there's a lot of emotions that I feel with this happening as of late. Yes, there are all the haters that have been texting, emailing, tweeting, posting, calling. I've had conversations in the last 24 hours with people that I haven't even talked to in years. Not even sports people are talking to me about the Tom Brady situation. This is how transcendent this move is with Tom Brady leaving New England. Had conversations with Robert Kraft, said it was time to move on. Robert Kraft agreed as well, said that he loves him like a son. Absolutely. It's unfortunately the writing was on the wall, as much as it pains me to say. The Patriots last season were a shell of themselves. Sure, they had a great defense that kept them in some games, but literally the offense could only move by using trick plays and fancy gadgetry. I think Julian Edelman had a good portion of passing touchdowns to what Tom Brady had. At this point, it's all about Tom Brady trying to go for history. And as of late, the report is saying that no team that's hosted the Super Bowl has won the Super Bowl. Who's hosting the Super Bowl this year? Tampa Bay. Yeah. So this is a very interesting situation. A lot of comments coming out as of late from former teammates, former coaches, former teammates that are still with the New England Patriots saying that, obviously there's a big shock to the world. Tampa Bay is reveling in the whole situation. I immediately just wanted to come on and say that, who do you think you are? But at the same time, composure took over to say, look, you have to look at it from multiple sides.
Yeah.
I'm upset. He's not upset. He's going to get his $30 million, whether it's going to be good or not. Am I going to get a Tom Brady Tampa Bay jersey? Absolutely. I'm stuck with it now.
Yeah.
Am I going to jump off the Patriots and hop over to the Tampa Bay bandwagon? No, not going to do that. I've dug myself too deep in this whole situation, being a Patriots fan, to now one of my old coworkers in Madison, South Dakota said, as soon as Brady and or Belichick leaves, they will become the new Cleveland Browns. Now that is a very approved statement to the fact that the Patriots have basically just fire sale the whole defense. They lost Jamie Collins, Kyle Van Noy, Duron, the closer Harmon. They just lost an O-lineman today. Where are they going? Detroit and Miami. Who coaches those teams? Former Patriot assistants. Matt Patricia, Brian Flores in Miami, and Matt Patricia in Detroit. So basically, once you're done being a Patriot, you go to where Patriots die, whoever is coaching said team. And they also lost their offensive line coach, Dante Scarnecchia, who's been with the team, it seems like, since they were in the league initially. There's a lot of changeover going on. It's going to be some weird times. I'm more focusing on the fact that Tom Brady heading down to Tampa Bay to work with the quote-unquote quarterback whisperer that is Bruce Arians and offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich. Now, there's a name drop for you, former quarterback in the NFL. Used to be Ben Roethlisberger's backup for all those years. You know, he was there for a few years, of course, with Charlie Batch as well in Pittsburgh. This is a very interesting situation. Is it going to bear fruit? Are they going to be a playoff team? I don't know. Initial indications say no. Are they going to, make each other better? Maybe.
Yeah.
Is yet to be seen. Is there going to be an actual NFL season this year? I don't know. The world itself could implode by, next quarter, by the end of the summer. I don't know what's going on. All I know is Tom Brady is no longer a New England Patriot. People are beside themselves. Cats and dogs are getting along together. It's the sky is falling. I don't know what to believe anymore. This Patriots jersey that's got Tom Brady on it, garbage. It's trash now.
Whoa.
It is trash. Whoa. I got Julian Edelman on. We're going to be riding high on the squirrel.
Wow. I mean, that's a lot to take in. I don't even know where to start. Well, you throwing that Brady jersey is kind of wow. That's all I got to say. I'll let the zoners chime in on what just happened here. It's one of those teams. The Buccaneers have a lot of weapons, and I understand why Brady would want to go and be with the Buccaneers. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, who's had a great season, and there's enough weapons there. Defense is it's okay, but having it, you're getting like Blake was saying here in the chat. I was reading some of the chats that the zoners put out. It's like Jordan with the Wizards when he was there too. Now, will Brady take them to where they want to go? I wouldn't bet money on it if they would go to the Super Bowl, because that's, I mean, the Bucs are the Bucs. This isn't John Lynch, Derek Brooks, or any, there's not a defense that you can be like, oh yeah, they definitely have a shot because he's got a good defense.
Yeah.
They have offensive weapons. That's kind of how it is. Now, as for Brady leaving New England, Voldy, it doesn't come as a surprise to me. A lot of people, want to say that there's friction between him and Belichick. The Patriots kind of, there are times where he didn't feel like he was being treated the way that he should be at times. There's all these rumors swirling around. But we also have to understand, too, that the New England Patriots are forever indebted to Tom Brady.
Absolutely.
100%. And 6 Super Bowls. Just think about that. There's no other quarterback that has really done that, And he's got 6 rings. And the Patriots fans, and I assume, Voldy, you feel the same way, is forever indebted. But here's what I also want to say, too, is that them being when Belichick leaves, that's when things will get interesting. What they're going to do, because it's pretty evident that Belichick's just throwing all these guys, out to the Lions and the Dolphins here. But I feel like Belichick's got a plan here, Voldy. I wouldn't say that they're going to become the Browns. Could they be? The Browns are pretty bad. But yeah. As we delve deep into that, but we won't go to that. But my thought is that, hey, I kind of knew this was going to happen. But also, at the same time, yeah, it's shocking. I didn't think he'd go to the Bucs. I thought the Chargers were the next place he'd go to, but that didn't happen. But here's my next question for you, Voldy, because I think this needs to be addressed too. Who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Patriots next year?
I don't know. They've got two quarterbacks on the roster. They've got Jarrett Stidham, who they drafted last year.
Yep.
They've got Cody Kessler, who's bounced around the league the last few years. And as of reports that I've heard, even as early as today, Patriots have requested medical records on Cam Newton. So I wouldn't even put that very far out of reach to the fact that quite possibly Patriots could make a move for old Cam Newton. But, I mean, they're going to have to make a move, and they're going to have to make it, relatively quick if they want to be able to get him in the fact that quite possibly be one of the, one of the guys to take the reins and take over that very, very large helm that is as quarterback of the New England Patriots.
And I think it would be a pretty good fit if they got Cam, because I know that Belichick will know how to handle a guy like Cam's caliber, and I think that McDaniels being there, I think it might be a pretty good fit. But again, it's kind of up in the air with the quarterback situation in New England, and a lot of Patriot fans, including you, Voldy, are kind of wondering. It's like, well, where do we go from here? I don't know what to do. Now the Bills are like, oh, maybe we have him where we want him now. Don't count out Belichick. I'm telling you right now. Do not count out Belichick.
It's always got something up his sleeve, so I wouldn't be surprised if they just come out of nowhere and just...
Oh, sure.
I don't know if they're going to be at the same level that they have been. It's going to be one of those bitter fight to the end, week 17 type situations. It may be being going up against Buffalo for the AFC East Championship at the end of the regular season. It may be one of those where it's going to be a couple bumps in the road and maybe just miss the playoffs. But if they do make the playoffs, be very interesting to see how the whole season unfolds.
100%. And I want to get to this here too, Voldy. A lot of people are chiming in on if the Pats or the Bucks are going to make the playoffs. Do you think the Buccaneers will make the playoffs with Brady?
If they make the playoffs, that means that they have beaten the Saints twice.
That's fine with me.
It's a Saints division. Yes, it'd be fine with me too. It's a Saints division always to win, and it's always their division to lose. Is the fact that now that Carolina's trying to step up to the plate too, and now that they signed Teddy Bridgewater, and Atlanta. I don't know what's going on with Atlanta. I think they're kind of in an awkward phase in the last couple of years with Matt Ryan. But if they do make the playoffs, it's because that Tom Brady beat, Drew Brees twice in the regular season. And if they split with them, I don't see them making the playoffs.
All right. Good take. Speaking of Teddy Bridgewater, I believe that we got to get to the Zoner's favorite segment, my favorite segment, your favorite segment. It's called Absurd or Approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
My laugh about the Aints, as I like to call them, I guess is golden, according to Tyler. So
apparently.
Appreciate that. So without further ado, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
All right, some of the big news, of course, with NFL free agency making things happen. One of them being the Carolina Panthers make a big move. 3 years, $63 million to Teddy Two Gloves himself, Teddy Bridgewater, $40 million guaranteed. Of course, he'll get that guaranteed $40 million in his first 2 seasons. Of course, the contract is expected to be done by the new league year, which actually began today. And, of course, with that being posted on the socials medias, drew a little bit of ire from somebody in the organization of the Carolina Panthers, that being Cam Newton. The fact that maybe that he's a little bit irked, or maybe, the fact that he's a little unhappy that that the Panthers have thus kind of just given up on him after being injured last season, allowing Kyle Allen to take the helm for them, which they did re-sign too, by the way. The Panthers did re-sign Kyle Allen to a 1-year deal. Now they're bringing Teddy Bridgewater. Cam Newton's a little bit rattled if you see some of the comments as well. Of course, the likes of the fact that they did say that Carolina that Cam requested a trade or is seeking a trade to maybe find his way out of Carolina. He did comment on the post saying, "Stop with the wordplay. I never asked for it. There is no dodging this one. I love the Panthers to death, and I will always love you guys. Please do not try and play me or manipulate the narrative and act like I wanted this. You forced me into this. Love." So, sure to approve the comments made by Cam Newton and quite possibly him on his way out.
Well, he will be on his way out, that's for sure. But, it's so tough these days to determine who said what. And apparently the Panthers are saying, well, he requested a trade. And then Cam's saying, no, I didn't. What are you talking about? I never requested a trade. But I gotta go absurd. And the reason why I go with absurd is that the speculation has been there for months. And Cam saying that, like, wait, no, I didn't say that, blah, blah, blah. And I did read the post, and, Cam always has those weird fonts that he uses saying, like, I didn't ask for, it's like, you have to, like, decode it and stuff like that. It's like, geez, just say it. You don't need to use all those fonts to be like, oh, look at this. I didn't say this. I want to be creative. It's like, okay. But anyway, I think it's absurd because, I feel like the Panthers kind of knew at that point. I mean, you signed Teddy Bridgewater. Why? I mean, if you're holding on to Cam Newton, that's just completely absurd if you held on to Cam Newton with Teddy Bridgewater. He will be traded to where? We don't know. The Bears were also a team that possibly would look into that, but now they have Nick Foles. I mean, just today they traded for Nick Foles. So, but yeah, I think it's absurd. I think I think everyone knew. It's like, you guys put this on me. It's like, well, Cam, I mean, I think the Panthers are sick of it. Cam's sick of it. It's absurd. What do you think, Voldy?
Yeah, I think it's absurd the fact that the Cam Newton still may have the possibility of being a Carolina Panther. You look at the fact that Carolina's bringing in a new coaching staff.
Yep.
Matt Rule, the former head coach at Baylor University with the Baylor Bears, he's looking to build the team that he wants. They need to move on from Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Last couple of years, it's been tough. They've been a shell of themselves since they made it to Super Bowl 50. They've just barely scratched by in the NFC South, which is a very tough division to win when you're not named the New Orleans Aints. And the fact that, Cam Newton the last couple of years has kind of made it about himself a little bit. I think it's just time that they need to move on. I approve the fact that he got creative with the comments, using the different fonts and whatever. I think it's absurd the fact, kind of how he handled it. Of course, you try to be the consummate professional, but in the end of the day, you're messing with people's livelihood, and sometimes it just spills out in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and as for the Teddy Bridgewater deal, $40 million is guaranteed.
Yes, sir.
I'm very happy for Teddy. I have been a huge Teddy Bridgewater fan, even though he was with the Aints. But again, it worked out well for him. I'm happy for him that it did. But I love Teddy to death. And the thing is it's kind of that's a lot of money being thrown out there. And I know Jimbo's been saying on the chat here with Teddy, getting paid all that money. That's a lot of money, but at the same time, we got to remember Teddy Bridgewater did have a good season.
He did.
Filling in for Brees. And I want to see Teddy do well. And hopefully he does, but that's a lot of money for a guy who only played 5 games, too. But, I think this is a good deal for the Panthers. They're kind of starting over, saying, see you later, Cam. And they're moving on. So that's how it is. All right, next one, Volde.
Well, we did have to come up with a story somehow relating to the
Yeah.
coronavirus at some point here
Right.
during the show. It only took us till about 7:44 for those who were taking the over under at half an hour here on the show. You should have taken the over because we're talking about Team USA basketball in the Summer
Talking
Olympics
basketball.
2020 in Tokyo. The fact that there's still a lot of uncertainty as if the Olympics are going to be put on. Officials in Tokyo are saying, yeah, we're still going to do it regardless. But this relates to Team USA basketball, and even assistant coach, I should say, he's head coach for Golden State, Steve Kerr, talking on Tuesday that the staff for Team USA are still going with the full rigmarole and getting everything ready for Team USA to play in the Olympics, regardless of the fact that it may or may not happen. And, of course, this going on with more details talking about how the schedule, now that the NBA has, suspended the season, for the time being, now trying to get everything put together with the fact that, you're trying to put film together of teams that you may or may not face and some players that you may or may not face. But everybody's even being quarantined or, not doing much of anything makes it hard for players and even coaches to get the right feel for what their team is going to be able to do going into the Olympics. So I guess this real story here is just talking about the grinding schedule that it is, even with Steve Kerr. He's no spring chicken himself. He's had a lot of back problems as of late, had to miss a good portion of a couple seasons ago with back surgery and being laid up. I guess the fact that I'm looking at it from the point that, if it's absurd or approved, the fact that, you're putting all this time in for being an assistant to see that, something may or may not even happen with, Team USA being quite possibly in the Tokyo Olympics.
I like that they're planning for it as if it were going to happen. Now, with this whole coronavirus outbreak, you got to be careful. And at this point, it's hopefully that this whole thing can kind of dissipate. I know we were talking before the show that hopefully that it's not we're not waiting as long as expected. And Steve Kerr, I think, has taken the right approach to this. So it's got my stamp of approval that they're planning for it. They're kind of like, well, we're just going to kind of see how this goes. We're planning, we got it all in place. But, I mean, heck, they might just cancel it. I mean, and Kerr's like, well, I think he's just kind of preparing himself as well, Coach Pop, too, and as if they're going to do it. And I think you gotta look at it from just overall. You got to look at it and say, okay, well, we'll see how this all transpires with the virus and everything. And if things start to improve, then heck, they'll probably be playing with the Olympics. But again, I'm no health expert here, people.
Yeah.
I'm not. But I really hope that this kind of fades away a little bit, so then we can get back to some more sports besides NFL free agency. But, I'm fine with NFL free agency, and I'm sure everyone else is too. But I think Steve Kerr's taken the right approach. Stamp of approval from me. Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, I gotta go with you on the same one. You gotta prepare for everything as if it's still going on and that there is no coronavirus going on. You gotta keep moving forward with the job that you are hired to do, and the fact that there's still a lot of uncertainty. It may come down to the very possible last minute, 0 hour to whether or not they make the decision, whether teams and Olympic organizations are getting themselves on the planes to head to Tokyo before they find out that they are canceling, said Tokyo Olympics. There's still a lot of great factors. It's still a ways away, but you have to take into account the fact that, that's not just your country that's hosting it. You're going to be hosting the entire world, Tokyo. So there is a lot still into this. I think for Coach Kerr, of course, we said it. You got to keep preparing as if nothing is happening and You're just preparing for another game or, another weekend series coming up. And you just got to play out for all the factors involved.
Yeah, and now that he's planning for this, they're ready for whatever comes their way. But again, it's prepare like if it's going to happen, and it probably won't. I mean, again, it probably won't, but got to be ready at all costs. So, but anyway, Voldy, next one.
All right, we'll try to do a little bit more lighthearted on this next story, with the fact that the NBA is, out of options right now. They're postponing their season indefinitely. Some athletes got to get a little bit creative to pass some time. A lot of guys are streaming video games on Twitch. Well, a couple of Minnesota Timberwolves were caught in action with an Instagram video the other day with a big bet on the line. It was D'Angelo Russell versus Karl Anthony Towns in FIFA with 20 push-ups on the line. Surprise. The winner. As we take the video itself was pretty hilarious.
It is.
Started off early with D'Lo getting the early 2-0 lead early on. Ended up finishing with the victory and forcing Karl Anthony Towns to the 20 push-ups for the victory. Serta approved the bet itself, and also a little bit of lighthearted fun in a very trying time that it is for sports.
Oh, it's stamp of approval right away. It's such this whole thing. We got to have some fun. While you're quarantined, you got to have stuff that you want to do too. You don't want to sit there bored, just like, well, what am I doing? I already watched like 5 hours of Netflix. I mean, I got to do something. So Kat and D'Lo are hanging out. I mean, they're like best friends, and it's nice to see that people are kind of, finding things to do while, this whole coronavirus stuff kind of goes on, and hopefully that this can kind of fade away here. But, yeah, I love it, because Kat and D'Lo are playing FIFA. I'm not a big FIFA guy, but again, it's just fun competition, guys hanging out, and should they be training? Well, you can't really go anywhere. You have to.
No, you really can't, though.
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure out other things to do. They got to do 20 push-ups. I mean, well, there you go. There's what you got to do, but. It's got my stamp of approval, just showing people, hey, there are things you can hang out. You can still hang out with people, but obviously you want to, be safe, wash your hands, all that fun stuff. But
absolutely,
yeah, it's got my stamp of approval. What do you think, Voldy?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of this just because of the situation that it is at hand. D'Lo and Kat having a good time, having a little fun. Just trying to make light of the situation. It always surprises me the amount of NBA players and just, sports fans athletes themselves that are huge fans of FIFA and, of soccer as well. It always surprised me just a little bit, but, it's a very select group and a very fun group as well. But, you try to have a little bit of fun in a situation where obviously you're not playing and you're not doing much anything. Try to pass the time and enjoy what you can. And it's always got my stamp of approval.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, you got to do something, besides watch Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, all that fun stuff. So, anyway, last one, Voldy.
All right, this one coming from the Pat Tillman Foundation. Usually they have each year the race that is scheduled usually around mid-April. They have a 4.2-mile run in Tempe, Arizona, with more than 20,000 racers they usually have for the Pat Tillman Foundation run, or their Pat's run, as it's affectionately called. Well, another coronavirus story coming your way with the outbreak that it has been across the world and also in the United States. They've come to the decision that this year's run will be a virtual run, as they were quoted as saying, as the CEO of the Pat Tillman Foundation, Dan Furtrell, said, "We are prioritizing the health and safety of our runners, volunteers, and staff, and are responding to the guidance from health and governmental officials," as they did send out an email to runners. So the way it's going to work this year is that you do a virtual run of 4.2 miles.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly the technology that is used, maybe some sort of, program or whatever that measures how far you actually run. You send those results to the Pat Tillman Foundation via email or other means as well, and then you'll receive if you're a registered runner, you'll receive a race medal and a T-shirt. And of course, they're also encouraging runners to share the results on social media as well to the Pat Tillman Foundation and also to Pat's Run as well. Of course, the Pat Tillman Foundation honoring the legacy that was Pat Tillman, who was an Arizona Cardinal and also a former linebacker at Arizona State. Normally, the race itself is a 4.2-mile run that ends inside Sun Devil Stadium and ends at the 42-yard line, honoring Pat Tillman's number. So sort of approve the creativity for the Pat Tillman Foundation for this year's Pat's Run.
Oh, stamp of approval. I think, a lot of things are getting canceled right now with this coronavirus, and people are trying to find other ways to hopefully not cancel, but figure out, if it's any possible doing something else by, for instance, saying, okay, we can't do this because we don't want anyone to get sick and, things like that. But them thinking of this idea, absolute virtual run. Hey, this is great, and
Absolutely.
it's something that people can look forward to, that whoever is involved in that. And you look at Pat Tillman, who, he was in the military, and, again, he, played for the Cardinals, and, you got to keep the tradition going, and they found a way. And it's something that is a nice, lighthearted thing, and it's great. There's really not much to say, but this is something that, is a feel-good story in this kind of trying time, like you said, Voldy. So it's got my stamp of approval. I assume it has yours as well, right?
Absolutely. I think, if anything, this will give a little bit more opportunity for other runners to, maybe even join in as well. Maybe even get past the 20, even 30,000 runners as well, going into the Pat's Run and raising more money for the Pat Tillman Foundation. And, 4.2 miles, honestly, myself, I'm not going to run 4.2 miles.
Oh, not
but
me.
For any experienced runner, I'm sure that's just a walk in the park for someone.
You know who would, though?
Who's that?
Double Trouble.
Oh, absolutely.
Sports Zone favorite. Yeah.
Too easy for them.
Yeah, way too easy. But, yeah, I'll walk it, but that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. I'll do that. I'll drive it.
Hey, there you go. That's what we got. But, yeah, it's a great thing that they're doing, and it was smart. It was a great idea. Fantastic idea.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, stamp of approval with that. So that's going to do it for Absurd or Approved, but we've got a couple more things to come because it's time for the Shield's favorite segment.
Shield Shoutouts.
Voldy, I'm looking at your Shield shoutouts. You got some good ones. Very good ones. Yeah. So why don't you proceed?
All right, we'll start off with the fact that a true Minnesota legend celebrated a birthday on Sunday, that being longtime sports reporter Sid Hartman, turning a solid 100 years old on Sunday, and was also bestowed the record of the world's oldest sports reporter by none other than Guinness World Records themselves. A Shield shout out and a happy belated birthday to the great Sid Hartman, turning 100 years old on Sunday. A special Shield shout out goes out to Carl Anthony Towns, which we talked about earlier here. Excuse me, I had a cough there for a second, as donating $100,000 to the Mayo Clinic to aid in getting more coronavirus tests out to the public, with the help for helping My goodness, of course it happens right at the end of the show here.
You don't have COVID. I know you don't. So you're good.
No, believe me, if that happens, then we're all in trouble. But the $100,000 going right towards the Mayo Clinic and helping get tests out to the public, and also helping in testing labs as well, with the $100,000 that the cat donated to the Mayo Clinic itself. Another Shield shout out to the real Big Ben, that being Benjamin Watson, retiring after 15 seasons in the NFL, most recently finishing his career with the New England Patriots. A special Shield shout out and a happy retirement to Big Ben Watson.
Isn't this like his fourth time retiring and coming? Oh, who knows? He might come back again.
Something like that. Yeah, there was always the rumors, and this time I believe it's actually. I know he definitely, he definitely said he was going to retire last year. So who knows? At this
he's
point,
pulling a Favre. He's pulling a Favre.
At this point, he's going to be pulling a Watson here pretty soon with the amount of times he's come in and out of retirement.
Right.
But a very special Shield shout out to the leader of the keepers, that being Case Keenum, coming to the 3-year, $18 million contract with the Cleveland Browns, $10 million guaranteed. Yes, we all know that it's Cleveland, but if it's going to be anybody that's going to give a shot in the arm to the franchise and end the Cleveland quarterback curse, it's going to be Case Keenum, and quite possibly, maybe get a little shot in the arm of Baker Mayfield and put up or shut up for Baker in under the likes of Kevin Stefanski at the helm with the Cleveland Browns. So a big Shield shout out goes out to Case Keenum.
Who knows? He might beat him out. I mean, the way that he played last year. Just saying.
Just saying. Well, a couple of contracts were extended out to a couple longtime New England Patriots. At least they did something right this past week by extending the likes of Devin McCourty and special teams wizard, that being Matthew Slater, to remain with the New England Patriots. 2-year deals. Devin McCourty, $23 million on 2 years, $17 million guaranteed. $5.3 million for Matthew Slater, $2.375 million guaranteed for the two studs that, will probably be the mainstays for the Patriots for at least the next 2 years. As, again, they just keep continuing to lose everybody overall. It's just, it's ridiculous to say the least.
Sure. I mean, hey, you got to take what you can get.
Exactly, and it takes apparently just two of them to make a difference overall. Happy belated birthday to Super Bowl 53 champ, former Minnesota Viking, that being Cordero Patterson, former New England Patriot as well. Hashtag Fear the Dreads.
Fear the Dreads. Hashtag Fear the Dreads. Always.
And we got to send a happy 2-year anniversary to former Jets, former Patriots, former Chargers, former Ravens running back Danny Woodhead. 2 years ago marked his official announcement of retirement from the NFL. So hopefully he's enjoying retirement. Certainly seems that he is. Plays a lot of golf, apparently. He's a big golf guy. Still enjoying retirement to the fullest. Happy anniversary as well to Danny Woodhead. And a late Shield shout-out that I got just before the show started. Yesterday marked 365 days that a good friend of mine from Byron, Minnesota, that being Jeremy Richardson, celebrating 1 year sober. So a very big
claps all around.
Yes, claps indeed to Jay Rich. Congratulations, and keep up the good battle, living day by day. Now 366 days sober is a one Jeremy Richardson. And a very big Shield shout out to you, and keep up the good work as well. Always enjoy seeing how he's doing day by day. That's going to do it for Shield shout outs this week.
Great job, Shield. A lot of great shout outs as always. And that's going to do it for MinneZona Sports Live this week. We'll be back next week. And one more thing before we go, every one of the zoners, we want to make sure that you guys are staying safe out there. Make sure, you're doing everything necessary to make sure that you don't get the virus. And then if you do, take the the precautionary measures like explained. I mean, it's hard not to know what to do when, it's pretty much been COVID-19 all around. So we want to make sure every one of the zoners and everyone around the world is staying healthy, and we'll just kind of, hopefully this thing kind of dissipates. But one thing that won't stop is MinneZona Sports Live, because we need to bring you guys what we can, obviously. With NFL free agency has pretty much saved us, and I think everyone would agree here at MinneZona Sports Live, including myself, the Kerf Doctor, and the Shield. So we appreciate everybody tuning in, because, you get quarantined, you're like, man, I've done all this other stuff, but, what else can I check out? Well, you can check out MinneZona Sports Live, baby. We're always we're running, when things don't pop up with work and, whatnot. But, yeah, just make sure you're staying safe out there, zoners, and we'll be back next week. We'll have more fun and more Shield, more DJ Matty C, and the Kerf Doctor as well. So, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla!
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.